the mic.
Get on the mic.
Just get on the mic. Get on the mic, Mike.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to Get on the Mic. That's where you put me in front of a microphone with a few notes. In this case today, a lot of notes, and I talk about some of the more interesting things that have happened throughout the world of entertainment or whatever else I feel like talking about. As always, I am your host, the Reel Geno Reynolds, and today there's a lot. As usual, even though there's only two stories, surprisingly, we're going to be talking about what is DC doing. Also, we'll be talking about some wrestling. We're going to discuss the CM Punk versus Colt Cabana lawsuit that's just come up this week. Also, could there be a James Gunn Guardians return decision? We'll talk about some rumors that are swirling around. Also, we'll talk about Idris Elba teasing that he may be the next James Bond. And also, I have a top 3 of who I think they'll pick realistically. And honestly, one or two of the names on the list might surprise you. Also, we'll be talking about one of the biggest kept secrets that happened in the Star Wars Rebels finale. Just a warning, there's big spoilers there if you have not watched that show. And then the gift that keeps on giving. We have not 1, not 2, not 3. We originally had 4, but now we have 5 stories to talk about MoviePass. Before I started recording, I got an email of new update information, so we'll be talking about that one too. But let's start the program with what is DC doing? In the Man of Steel movie, there is a scene where Clark Kent enters the Kryptonian spaceship. While he's on board, he begins to learn all about where he came from. In the background of that scene is what this story is about. One thing that a lot of fans talked about is the open pod in the background. So, could it be Kal-El wasn't the only survivor of Krypton's destruction? Many have suggested that DC may have been setting up a possible future storyline for Clark's cousin, Supergirl, especially now that DC has been supposedly working on a Supergirl movie. The director that won't be silenced, Zack Snyder, was recently asked about the pod and he simplified things, a little bit anyway. He did say that the pod was supposed to be a hint for the future, but it was not about Supergirl. Quote, the open pod was something more, end quote. So, what could it have been? What could it be changed to since Zack Snyder is no longer calling the shots? One thought would be that it could be a way to introduce Brainiac, but honestly, that would take away from the fun of having his big-ass skull ship show up to Earth. DC could always just change up Snyder's initial intention for the pod and use it to introduce Supergirl. I mean, why not? Here's a funny little tidbit, though. While Snyder has said that the pod was not intended to be Supergirl's, there was a prequel comic released for Man of Steel that was written by the movie screenwriter David Goyer. In that comic, the pod was Supergirl. So, is the book still canon? Who knows with these movies nowadays. I mean, if Disney can just throw out an entire extended Star Wars universe, I guess DC can throw their stuff out too. The next story. What is DC doing? Aquaman will not feature any other Justice League members. When asked if any other members of the Justice League will be showing up in his movie, director James Wan said that none of them will be showing up. He said that he wanted the movie to focus on the title character and not have to worry about the rest of the DCEU. Quote, I wanted to keep the story to the world of Aquaman and not have to worry about what other characters are doing in their films and how that would affect us. I just thought the simplest way was to keep it clean, keep it simple, and let it be an Aquaman story, end quote. Now, while I want to believe this, and I'm sure that Juan believes it, I have a feeling that we may get a tease for another DC movie during or after the credits for Aquaman. If I had to guess, we might get a little bit of a look at Wonder Woman 1984. And oddly enough, guys, that's it for what is DC doing this week. I have a feeling next week is going to be they're going to open the floodgates. I just have that hunch. So let's shift gears to some wrestling. We talk about wrestling here on the show every now and then. We're going to be talking about CM Punk versus Colt Cabana. Now, I'm going to simplify it here. I'm not going to be going through the entire drama between the WWE and CM Punk. the WWE Network, still only $9.99, and no, they're not a sponsor, and the various dirt sheets can do that work for me. But long story short, Punk went home, was then fired on his wedding day. He went on Colt Cabana's podcast, and it was like Festivus, as Punk had an airing of grievances toward the WWE. Punk accused the WWE's ringside physician of not diagnosing a staph infection, which led to that doctor, Dr. Chris Amon, taking Punk and Cabana to court for defamation for the sum of around $1 million. Many speculated that the WWE was bankrolling his lawsuit, but there was no real proof of that. The court date got delayed until the week of CM Punk's second UFC fight. First fired on his wedding, and now this. Coincidence? Anyway, Punk and Cabana won their lawsuit against Dr. Amon, and all seemed to be over. Until now. Colt Cabana, one of the defendants in the lawsuit, is now suing his former friend, the other defendant, CM Punk. He says that Punk promised to help him pay 100% of the legal fees of the defamation case, but later Punk told Cabana, "You are on your own," and that is a quote. Cabana, or at least according to Cabana, Cabana built up around $514,000 in legal fees and says that he has text messages that show Punk promising to pay for everything, but then says Punk told him he had to pay half. Punk reportedly stated, quote, "Whatever my bill is currently will be cut in half and half will be yours. If you choose to make this ugly, that's fine too. I hope you won't, but I gave up on you doing what is right a long time ago," end quote. The lawsuit is for both allegations of fraud and breach of contract. Cabana is also seeking $200,000 in general damages and $1 million in punitive and exemplary damages. While this whole situation is only going to get uglier, here is an interesting wrinkle. A twist theory, if you will, that I have. What if this is all a work? Well, I'm sure it's probably not. Just think about it. Just think about this. Both men are Chicago boys. They've been friends for a long time. Okay. During the weekend of August 30th through September 2nd, there is a huge StarCast wrestling convention going on near Chicago. It's the closest thing to a WrestleMania weekend that's not WrestleMania weekend. So the whole Chi-Town area is going to be in a wrestling fever already. Colt Cabana is going to be having a meet and greet at the convention. On August 31st at Pro Wrestling Tees store in Chicago, there is a CM Punk meet and greet. Pro Wrestling Tees is a big StarCast sponsor, by the way. The big event of the weekend is the All-In Wrestling event put on by Cody Rhodes and Buddies. Colt Cabana is taking part in a battle royal that could lead to a title shot against Ring of Honor champion Jay Lethal. While Punk is not scheduled for All In, him being the reason that Cabana loses a title match could be a great way to introduce Punk's return to Ring of Honor, no? Now that his UFC career hasn't gone how he hoped it would, anyway. So, ta-da, wrestling angles. Now, the lawsuit would make for a great cover story of animosity for the two and would make for a realistic feeling wrestling feud. Or things could just be ugly between the two and they really aren't friends anymore. I like to think that it's going to be my theory, though, because think about it. As a wrestling angle, that would be amazing. All right, moving on. Could there be a James Gunn Guardians return decision? Look, my notes for this segment have changed just a few times this week. And by a few times, I mean way too many that I just got tired of typing out notes about different opinions and different theories. And this really happened. They're saying type stuff about James Gunn. There were stories out there that were saying that Marvel itself was going to bat for James Gunn to return to direct Guardians 3. But now there are reports that are saying that after a meeting with Gunn, Disney and Marvel are sticking with their decision. According to Variety, and only Variety, Gunn and studio chairman Alan Horn had a meeting about whether or not to have Gunn rehired for Guardians 3. According to quote-unquote insiders, the meeting was civil and professional. Kevin Feige was out of town and unable to attend the meeting. The Insiders also said that while Feige was pushing to get Gunn back, he stands by the studio's decision not to bring him back. Of course, spokespeople for Disney and Marvel have declined to comment. Here's the thing. This is one of those stories that I won't believe until I hear something official from Disney and or Marvel. Sure, these insiders might be real and this story might be true. But in this day and age of tons of websites seeing that one and only one website has one unconfirmed source and running with it like it came from the mouth of the mouse himself. But in this day and age, they just go with it. And I know that this isn't really a big deal or really an important issue or story in the scheme of life itself. But I am getting so tired of irresponsible internet journalism. Websites want the scoop so bad that they don't even look for multiple sources, and hell, sometimes they even make it up. They guess. When I do my research for this podcast, I try my best to make sure of the sources that I look at for the stories that I talk about. I try to make sure that there are multiple sources or stories that don't only stem off from one source. That's why I will usually try to stress that something might need to be taken only as a rumor. I try to look for stories with quotes from the subject of the story to help solidify that the story is legit. It's tiring work, but it has to be done. It's called journalism. I wish more sites would try harder to make sure the stories have real weight instead of just trying to be the first to break the story. Long story short, do research, people. Look stuff up. Double check. Don't just say, oh, so-and-so said it, so it must be true. That's how rumors get out there. That's how we have so many different, well, this is happening. I get tired of stories that'll say so-and-so's been cast in a movie, but then you'll read another story that says they're only in talks. And I swear, everyone just wants to get that story up on their website first, or their tweet out, or their Facebook post out first, without doing the research. I would rather be late and right than quick and wrong. All right, let's move on to something fun here. Could Idris Elba be the next James Bond? Now, the rumors of this have been there for what seems like forever now. And of course, his name always comes up in discussions on once Daniel Craig is done as James Bond, or whenever the producers of the franchise want to change up the character in the, quote, not a white guy way, so to speak. It was reported by the Daily Star that Bond producer Barbara Broccoli had told Antoine Fuqua, the director of Training Day and the Equalizer movies, that it is time, and that's a quote, it is time for a non-white actor to take the role. They quoted a pal of the director's. Remember that. The story, of course, was picked up by tons of outlets, including me at the beginning of the week. I was following it. Let's move on and come back to that part in a bit. And it kind of plays into the story we just talked about, if you kind of get where I'm going with this. Elba must have decided to have a little fun with people because the story began to run wild. After he posted on Twitter a picture of himself along with the caption, "My name is Elba, Idris Elba." Of course, this sent the internet into a tizzy, either for or against the idea of Elba playing the role. But just hours later, I guess the fun was over because he then tweeted a photo of the rap group Public Enemy as well as a lyric from one of their songs, "Don't Believe the Hype." That's the last that I can find of Elba having commented on the matter. Now, back to the other part of the story. While the idea of the Broccoli-Fuqua conversation happening is cool and all, it sounds cool, it turns out that it was a crock of shit. Thanks, Daily Star, for doing your research, checking up on your sources, and for wasting everybody's freaking time. A rep for Fuqua has come out and said that the Broccoli-Fuqua conversation never happened. Quote, he never had a conversation with Barbara about the franchise or about any casting. It's all made up stuff. Not sure how it got started. I can answer that. The internet, of course. Okay, so while I'm not wanting to bury Daniel Craig too early, I mean, I do want him to make up for Spectre the way that I know he can. I do want to discuss who I think is going to be the next James Bond. Now, I didn't say who I think should be the next James Bond, even though my number one picks are the same person. My number 3 pick is Michael Fassbender. I struggled with whether or not it should be him or Tom Hardy in this spot, but I ultimately went with Fassbender for 2 reasons. The first is that Fassbender could be just about done with his big franchise, which he's involved in, which is the X-Men, while Hardy is just getting started with Venom, pending the movie does well anyway. The other is that I think the makers of Bond will want to go back to a less physically imposing Bond and more of the suave type, which I think Fassbender could pull off better than Hardy. Now, don't get me wrong. If they wanted another sledgehammer Bond, Hardy would be the guy. My number 2 pick, and hear me out, is Jamie Dornan. Yes, that Jamie Dornan. While people may only know him from 50 Shades of Effed Up, he showed me that he is better than those movies with his performance in Anthropoid. That movie is about an assassination attempt on SS General Reinhard Heydrich, the main architect behind the Final Solution and the Reich's third in command after Hitler and Himmler. Dornan is fantastic in that movie. Another reason I went with him is his age. I think that the next Bond that is picked will be one that they can use for a while. Daniel Craig was 38 when Casino Royale was released, and they are getting 5 movies out of him. Dornan is 36 years old right now, so he'll probably be around the same age as Craig was when he got started. So they may get 5 or 6 movies out of Dornan. My number 1 pick, I would do a drum roll, but I don't want to hear that on my microphone. Is Idris Elba? No. My number 1 pick is Henry Cavill. I probably wouldn't have said this a few years ago. Before he was Superman, the experiences I remembered with his work was The Cold Light of Day and Immortals, 2 movies that didn't exactly raise my confidence in him as an actor. Not really his fault, because his movies just aren't very good. But anyway, of course, I forgot he was both in Stardust and The Count of Monte Cristo, 2 movies that I kind of like. While I like him as Superman, it wasn't until his role in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. where I thought he would make a good James Bond. As for his age, he is 1 year younger than Jamie Dornan, so the longevity is there. Whether or not they go with a more physical or suave Bond, I think Cavill could pull off both versions. I've seen him do big-time physical work, and in The Man from U.N.C.L.E., he was very suave. So, why didn't I put Elba on the list, you ask? While I personally wouldn't have an issue with him getting the role, I don't think that Ion would ever change the character like that. I honestly think they would fear the backlash, mostly financial backlash, that changing the character that much would bring. If the whole Bond was just a codename thing were real, then I'd say they'd do it in a heartbeat. I do think that the series will be getting a character reboot, so that could make the Elba casting work, but I still think that they'd never do it. I could see them casting Elba as another 00 agent and giving him a spin-off series, though. Lastly, for those wondering what are my thoughts on a female Bond, I'd say I'd be fine with it. That being said, we kind of already got that with the highly underrated Atomic Blonde. I mean, hell, Charlize Theron would be my pick for a female Bond anyway, so there you go. Next, we're going to be talking about Star Wars Rebels, and warning, there is spoilers for the series finale. So if you've not watched that show, which I highly recommend, especially if you are a Star Wars fan, which, if you are a Star Wars fan, you probably already watched it anyway, but that being said, just wanted to give you a warning anyway. One of the biggest surprises with the ending of Star Wars Rebels is that the late Kanan Jarrus and Harrison Dula had a child together, Jason. In an interview, Rebel showrunner David Filoni talked about how they had to keep the secret under wraps. The clues of Hera's pregnancy were there. He said, quote, "They are. There are little clues that I would talk to the animation supervisor and I would say, we'll do this and just have her put her hand there on her stomach at this certain moment. Or just little tiny things, but I kept it pretty secretive. I did this thing where I didn't give any characters dialogue in the epilogue except for Sabine. So Tyus or Sirkar knew all those things and had to remain quiet about it, which was quite a bit of pressure for her, because the actors know that if they don't need to know something, I just don't tell them. If it's important for the character, they absolutely know, but I don't give them much more than they need to know or kind of space around them. So it was a surprise, and it pretty well worked out. One of the biggest clues is that Hera touches her stomach in the episode. Also, knowing that she's pregnant really makes you feel for her more during the torture scene. For those wondering if the child was really Kanan's, well, first, of course he was. For those wanting proof, though, Filoni had that covered too. He said that the design of Jason is the key to reassuring fans that Kanan is his dad. He said, quote, "I just talked to Killian Plunkett, who's been working with me for years now, and I said, well, maybe just a picture of what their kid would look like, and I think he was suggesting that he was perhaps a little green-shaded, and I said, that's fine as long as he doesn't look like he's sick flying in a ship." We came at it pretty easily as far as a look. I wanted to make sure that you knew whose kid it was, so there were little clues in the costume if you didn't think the likeness was there. Yeah, it was fun. A lot of the crew didn't know it until they saw it. They designed it all in secrecy and animated it all in secrecy, even amongst the crew. So it was a pretty fun moment when we all watched it together at the Skywalker Ranch, and everybody turned around and looked at me and was like, what? One has to wonder if the story of Jason is over yet. With things like the animated Star Wars Resistance and the live-action Star Wars show coming soon, might we get to see an all-grown-up version of the character? Could we see him maybe become a Jedi in training with a hopefully returning Ezra Bridger as his teacher, returning the favor of Kanan training him? There are so many possibilities. What's funny is that I've been finding myself more excited about the Star Wars side projects than I am the movies. All right, it's that time. MoviePass time, guys. The first story we're going to be talking about is MoviePass's new movie. MoviePass, or in this case MoviePass Films, has invested in a few movies in the past, but never produced one fully on their own. They have partnered up with other movie studios to purchase and release such movies that are worth seeing, like American Animals, and some that are definitely not worth seeing, like Gotti. Now, it seems that they are ready to produce their first movie from scratch. Bruce Willis is set to star in 10 Minutes Gone, which is about a man who loses 10 minutes of his memory due to being hit by a stray bullet during a bank heist gone wrong. He must put the pieces of his broken memory together in order to find out who sabotaged the job and took the money, all while being pursued by a powerful crime boss hell-bent on recovering the cash. Willis is playing the crime boss. Alright, so they're producing a movie. So with that announcement, you'd think that things were looking up for MoviePass. Well, not really, but anyway. Of course, this isn't the case. They did something this week that made me have to go back and check the first subscription that I had with them. You see, when I first signed up years ago, when the program was more expensive, not only did they try to change the plan on me, as we've discussed about before on this program, but they also required you to have a certain version of either an iPhone or an Android to use the app. I had an iPhone 4 at the time when an update happened that required me to have an iPhone 5 or higher to use the MoviePass app. Since I'm not made out of money, I ended up having to cancel the plan for the time being until I could get a new phone. When I did get a new phone, I went to restart my plan and found out that they were still trying to offer me the same crappy change deal from when I left and not an unlimited plan. Of course, I said F that noise and started a new account under a new email, as you do. This worked, and I got a new unlimited plan under a new email. Now, cut to this week. Apparently, some people who have canceled a MoviePass subscription are receiving emails letting them know that they have been automatically opted back into the service as part of new plan changes. And here's the best part. Then finding themselves unable to cancel it. Part of the email states, if you had and this is quote, if you have had previously requested cancellation prior to opting in, your opt-in to the new plan will take priority and your account will not be canceled, end quote. Those that have tried to cancel their account have been sending MoviePass screenshots from the app, which shows an error screen saying failed to cancel account. As for my former account, I guess only the current version of MoviePass is the one with the issue. I don't know if my old account was just that, too old, because I couldn't even log into it anymore, which I used to be able to, and they want me to re-sign back up for a crappy plan. Nor have I received any email about getting opted back in yet. Okay, so let's talk about MoviePass's parent company now. MoviePass parent company Helios and Matheson are being sued by their own shareholders because they are, well, to put it simply, shitty with money. This from Deadline Hollywood. Helios and Matheson reported an operating loss of $126.6 million for the most recent quarter, ending June 30th. This follows a July of woes, including their stock plummeting again under $1 after a 250-to-1 reverse stock split, and the service stalling on numerous occasions, including the Thursday night before Mission Impossible Fallout opened when it looked like MoviePass ran out of money and needed to take a $6 million plus loan. Now, I don't pretend to understand all that stock shit, but I imagine losing investors a ton of money, including a quarterly loss of $126.6 million, is not a good thing. When your own investors are looking for a place to stick the knife, you know you're in trouble. Now, back to that MoviePass app. Okay, let me bring up my notes here, or bring up the letter here from everybody's favorite CEO, Mitch Lowe. I just received this today, so bear with me. This is a letter I got today from MoviePass. It says, and I'm just going to read it in its entirety. To our members, today we are rolling out our new subscription plan that was announced last week. We believe this new model provides great value to the MoviePass community and, equally important, ensures that we can continue to provide these benefits for you to enjoy in the future. I am really having trouble saying this with a straight face. Today, as we transition to the new subscription plan, we want to share more details about our service moving forward as part of our commitment to keep you fully informed. For the time being, we will be limiting the films and showtimes that are available to members each day. During this transition period, MoviePass will offer up to six films to choose from daily, including a selection of major studio first-run films and independent releases. In addition, showtime availability may be limited depending on the popularity of those films on the app that particular day. I'm willing to bet that if too many people get that ticket, you ain't. While the films and showtimes available in the app will change daily, the schedule of available film selections will be published at least a week in advance on the MoviePass website so members can plan ahead for the films they want to see. Please note that e-ticketing will continue to include all movies and showtimes with no restrictions. Because actual availability will change daily, we encourage our members to always check the MoviePass app before leaving the theater. More on that in a bit. As we celebrate the 1-year anniversary of our $9.95 subscription offering, notice he didn't say $9.99 unlimited subscription offering, we want to thank you, our millions of members, for your loyalty and for your continued support. we'll have some exciting updates on additional features and service offerings. I'm sure they won't be good. That will bring greater value to you as a member in the near future. Wah wah, Mitch Lowe. So yeah, that I got that today. So now we're gonna go back to this weekend. I'm gonna tell y'all a little story. Last week, Black Klansman came out. Spike Lee's new movie, a Spike Lee joint. It came out, and I wanted to see it. I wanted to see it pretty bad, and those of you that have seen my review know I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad I went to go see it, but I had to drive to Springfield to go see it. It's about an hour away. In the morning, I checked MoviePass to see if it was on there on the list, on the schedule, and it was. The time I wanted to go was there. I'm like, cool. So when I finally get to leave town, I checked right before I left town. It's still there. Okay, it's on MoviePass. I'll go see it. So then I get to the theater, and I check the app. You gotta remember, this is about an hour, a little less time span. I checked the app. What do you think happened? It was gone. The screening was gone. There was I think The Meg was on there, which of course I'd already seen, and then one other movie I'd already seen was available to me. Or no, it said I already seen it, because I did use it for Slender Man, shockingly. Of course I could use it for Slender Man. Just glad I didn't pay much for that one. Anyway. So I got there a little early. I had about a half hour before I needed to be in the theater. So I said, you know what? I'm going to let MoviePass know how I feel about this. And so I went to the app, and I honestly wasn't expecting an answer because of all that they've been going through, and they don't want to talk to people because people are mad at them. But I decided to chat it up with them a little bit. So I'm going to read you what all was said. I've got it all right here in front of me. I wasn't planning on reading it, but I'm going to read it anyway. I get the usual first thing whenever you open the thing. It says, hi, blah, 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 you're contacting MoviePass. It's the copy and paste thing. So I put in there, hi, as a long-time MoviePass user, even before the $10 a month plan, I have to say that while I understand why you do have to do your new plan, it does kind of stink when I check for a movie before I leave and it's there, but when I get there it's disappeared. I had to travel out of town to see Black Klansman, so that isn't cool. I'm not saying these things out of anger, but from disappointment. Thanks, Gino Reynolds. And then of course I send you the thing that says, let's see if these articles help. Do you need to talk to someone? I said, no, I want to talk to someone. Hi, Gino. Thank you for contacting us. We're here to help. We apologize for the inconvenience. We understand your frustration. Unfortunately, you are only able to book the showtimes that are available in the MoviePass app. We recommend always checking the MoviePass app before you leave for the theater to make sure the movie and showtime are always available at check-in. We are unable to reimburse any purchases for showtimes not appearing on the MoviePass app. E-ticketing theaters will continue to show all available showtimes. They must have some deal with e-ticketing theaters to where they don't have to get rid of them. And I responded, and I felt like they hadn't listened to me because I kind of mentioned I checked and that it was there. I said, I am aware of this. Like I said, having movies disappear from the app while I am on my way to the theater is just disappointing. I never asked to be reimbursed or anything like that, but to keep changing the available times and movies throughout the day is frustrating. It makes it hard to plan anything. I just ask that you don't make later times available early in the day, then yank them away the closer they get. Then they said, can you please attach a screenshot of the problem? So I attached a screenshot of what was there. And then they said, can you please provide me with the cinema and the title of the movie for me to further check if there are any available screenings for that day? And according to every other website, there are. because I still went and seen the movie at the time I planned. But anyway, I said, I can't show you what was there earlier. Just tell you that all the times for Black Klansman were there this morning. Now there is only 2 movies there at the AMC Showplace 12 in Springfield, Illinois. I was going to go to the 6:15 p.m. showing. Could you please confirm the full name of the theater for validation? I felt like they weren't listening to me because I just said it. But anyway, so I replied again. It's AMC Showplace Springfield 12 in Springfield, Illinois. And I said, that's what your app labeled it as. As per checking, there is no available showtimes for that theater as of today due to changes MoviePass is making. Certain movies are not available for now. Please try to book another movie. It's like, again, I'm just expressing my disappointment. Thanks for your help. I asked them for nothing. I just wanted to know why times disappeared throughout the day. If they want to do this limited plan, fine. Oh, by the way, they're like, I hope I was able to assist you today the best we could. If any other issues come up, feel free to start a new chat here. Have a great day. If they want to do their plan the way they want to do their plan, that's fine. It's their plan. They can do what they want. But to show the times there first, like if I would have drove to the theater early and bought the tickets, I would have had the tickets. But why should I have to do that? That's not what the app is about. That's not what they promised. They said you go to the theater, you do it, you're in. But no. So I'm just tired of them doing this. I'm tired of them just, they just keep changing the plan. It's been, 2-3 weeks? And they've changed the plan like 5 times. And it's getting to a point where I may be canceling it. If they improve a little bit, like even if I can get the 3 movies a month, that's still a deal for me and I will keep it. But if I can't see the movies I want, what is the point? They're definitely in bait and switch territory. They are not going to survive this. If they do, good for them. But being that AMC is pretty well giving people almost unlimited. Yeah, you only get 3 a week, but most times that's the average number of movies that's coming out. Like sometimes you get 4, sometimes you get 5, sometimes you only get 2. AMC probably has the best plan going right now. It's clean, it runs smoothly, it's easy to use, and MoviePass used to be, but they saw AMC coming, and all of a sudden, they keep having to borrow money, and they are not going to survive this. And if they do, I will be surprised. So that was my weekend fun of contacting MoviePass. I just wanted to let them know it's like I have been pretty loyal to you. I have followed all your little rules. Every time you wanted me to take pictures of my movie stubs or whatever, I have been pretty darn faithful. And they bit off more than they could chew. They knew they could not sustain their, and I had a feeling they knew, and I had a feeling they wouldn't be able to. But I got my money's worth out of it. For the time being, it helped me be able to see all the movies. The rule changes were annoying. They kept changing them, not telling anybody. Oh, you have to wait a literal 24 hours. Oh, now you don't have to wait 24 hours anymore. Oh, now you can do all the movies you want. Oh, now you can only do 3. Now there only might be one movie you can see at this theater at 2:30 in the morning. It's just annoying. But anyway, that's all I've got about MoviePass. Unless something comes up, I'm still trying to film the rest of this podcast. All right, on to quick hits. Sony has scrapped its plan for the non-Spideyverse movie Silver and Black, but don't worry, fans of Silver Sable and Black Cat. Instead, they now plan to give both those characters their own solo movies. In a way, I think this is Sony showing their confidence in Venom. If they think it is good, then the more movies they make means the more money they can make. Adam Pally and Neil McDonough have both been cast in the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Pally will be playing a fellow police officer to James Marsden's character. McDonough's role is unknown, but it's safe to say that he will probably not be voicing Tails. The first picture from the live-action Dora the Explorer movie has been released. It features Isabella Moner wearing a pretty show-accurate costume that was thankfully not designed by Michael Bay. She's said to be a fan of the character, and after seeing her in Sicario 2, I think she has a lot of potential as an actor. Here's hoping that she can pull it off. While this hasn't been officially confirmed, both Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth may not be returning to the Star Trek franchise. Both were in talks to return for the fourth installment in a time-traveling adventure that would see father and son team up. But those talks have been reported to have fell through. The reports are that money is the culprit. Both actors are to have asked Paramount to stick to their existing deals, but the studio wants to cut the budget, mainly because Star Trek Beyond didn't do as well as they hoped. Sylvester Stallone made a post on Instagram that is a picture of Rambo with the caption, "A Savage Rising" and "Soon." The rumored title for the movie, if and or when it gets made, is The Savage Hunt, that would see John Rambo mowing down a Mexican cartel after the daughter of one of his friends gets kidnapped. Mark Hamill is joining the cast of Nightfall for Season 2. Nightfall is a period drama that follows the famed Knights of the Templar in their search for the Holy Grail. Hamill will play Talus, a veteran of the Crusades who survived a decade in captivity. I'm really looking forward to seeing that. I'd never even heard of that show, but Mark Hamill being in it, not playing Luke Skywalker, it could be pretty interesting. Benicio del Toro has joined Oliver Stone's new movie White Lies. The synopsis for the movie is this: in a story covering 3 generations, the film will follow Jack, played by Del Toro, a child of divorce, now repeating his parents' mistakes in his own marriage and with his troubled son. Feeling trapped, he embarks on a lust-filled journey to free himself, but only becomes more lost. When he meets a woman whose life is the opposite of his own, he begins a journey of rediscovery. Production will begin on White Lies in the spring of 2019. The director of The Nun has come out and revealed that he had a second unit director for the movie. None other than the Conjuring and Conjuring 2's director, James Wan. He said, very excitingly, James Wan was my second unit director in a little bit of additional photography. It is funny, but we did some additional photography, and you're always pushing for double what you really can afford, time or budget-wise. I said, I want to do all this, but if we're going to do it, we really need to run 2 units. James is a full-on, hands-on guy, and he was like, anything I can do of service. It was like, I really want to take you up on that. So there were nights when he was shooting a section in the forest, and I was shooting interiors. Speaking of The Nun, YouTube has removed an ad for The Nun after jump scare complaints. Look, I've seen it, and all I have to say is this. Seriously, YouTube? Come on. Half of the channels on your site are Five Nights at Freddy's videos, and this ad is no scarier than those. They have stated that it violates one of their rules, which is promotions that are likely to shock or scare. I'm sorry, but boo-hoo. Neil Blomkamp knows who he wants to play Alex Murphy in his official RoboCop sequel. When asked on Twitter who should play the character, he simply responded, Peter Weller. Now, all you need is Nancy Allen and a cyborg Kurtwood Smith, and you've got yourself a movie. Antoine Fuqua has already confirmed that he has met with Sony about possibly helming the Morbius movie, but he also teased that he may be meeting with Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige to discuss directing a feature for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He said, quote, I've been approached about it. For me, it has to be the right one in the right situation because there's so much visual effects going on, and where's the director in it all? Sony asked me to do Morbius. I'm going to have a meeting with Kevin Feige soon. We're just talking. Because we were running low on rebooted TV shows, a Designing Women reboot is in the works. Sony is developing a reboot with original series creator Linda Bloodworth Thomason. There's no real news about it other than, quote, and this is my quote, we don't have any new ideas. So Star Trek Discovery now has its Mr. Spock. Ethan Peck has been cast to play the iconic character brought to life by Leonard Nimoy and recently been played by Zachary Quinto. After meeting with the family of the late Nimoy, he had this to say, quote, "Thanks to the Nimoy family for your open arms, warm welcome, smiling curiosity, and support, for making me feel worthy as I embrace to take into my heart the iconic half-alien we know as Mr. Spock. It is an uncomparable honor," end quote. Tessa Thompson is in negotiations to voice Lady for the Disney streaming service exclusive Lady and the Tramp. Also, Benedict Wong, who was Wong in Doctor Strange, has been cast as Bull, the English Bulldog, and Justin Theroux will voice the Tramp in the live-action CG hybrid remake. The cast of Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood just keeps growing. Mike Moe, who was Triton in the Inhumans miniseries, will be playing Bruce Lee in the movie. Being that all of Tarantino's movies are connected and have their own alternate history, look it up, it's true. I'm curious what kind of fate lies for his version of the famous martial arts master. Just like Daredevil Season 2 introduced the Punisher and then he got his own series, there are rumors that Iron Fist Season 2 may introduce another Marvel character, Moon Knight. While it hasn't been officially confirmed or denied, it was revealed that the character came up in discussions in the writer's room during Typhoid Mary talks. Typhoid Mary will be the villain in Iron Fist Season 2, played by Alice Eve. If anything will get fans excited for Season 2, with Season 1 splitting in the fan base at best, it would be adding another hero to the mix that might possibly get their own Netflix series. Tom Holland may have revealed on Instagram a new villain for Spider-Man Far From Home by accident, let's just say accident, joking that he does all of his own stunts. The video ends with Holland's stunt double being blown away by a jet of water. This has led to the speculation that Morris Bench, aka Hydro Man, could be in the movie. Knowing Holland's history for making reveals over social media, such as the sequel's title, for example, this could be another one of those viral videos that he wants to create. And that's the end of Quick Hits. I want to draw your attention to the smaller YouTuber Spotlight video. I asked that you guys, I put a link to it in the description below. I asked that you guys, if you know some smaller YouTubers under 2,000 or so subscribers, I asked that you post the links to their channels in the description of that video. Also, whether it's your channel, you know a channel, I also ask that you share the video so more people get a chance to see it and can post videos as well. When I was doing the smaller YouTuber Spotlight, I kind of wanted to focus on stuff that I found interesting because it was kind of my own personal opinion kind of thing. Like if I like something, it's something that I would follow. But I'm not putting any restrictions on this. I'm just looking for channels that are about under 2,000 subscribers. I want to give you guys an update on another Cinema Snob movie. As I mentioned last week, they did complete their funding, but then extended the campaign to try to reach the stretch goal of $75,000. As of the taping of this program, there's 6 days left of the campaign, and they're a little, I believe they hit over a little over 60,000 as of the taping of the show. Brad will be doing another live stream this Saturday. I believe it's supposed to start around 10 a.m. Central Time, to try to raise as much of the stretch goal as I can. I should be there for part of it. I'm not sure what all we're doing. I think we've got a few ideas, but I got to talk to him a little bit more. He just mentioned it to me the other day when we were eating lots and lots of bad stuff at the Illinois State Fair. So if I have any more updates on that, I'll update you on Twitter. A bit of a channel update. Make sure to keep an eye on the channel around this weekend for my reviews of Mile 22, Crazy Rich Asians, and Alpha. I'm trying to get back to Gino's Bad at Games to continue my playthrough of Star Wars The Force Unleashed, but and that leads into the next story. I'm still, for crossing streams, I'm still working my way through Luke Cage Season 2 to do my Jessica Jones and Luke Cage Season 2 reviews. But also on crossing streams, I do have a review up for the first episode of Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. to find any video that I've ever been involved with on YouTube, or people that I consider part of the either officially or unofficially under the GB3 umbrella. Make sure to check out the playlist on my channel, GB3 Family. Just added to the playlist. I just added the Brad Tries the Illinois State Fair 2018, which I took a part of. It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun in the video, so make sure you check that out. Also, make sure to follow me on Twitter. I would say Facebook at the Reel Geno too, but you know how I feel about Facebook. But yeah, definitely follow me on Twitter if you want the latest channel updates from me. Anything I'm involved in, any videos, you can find all that stuff on Twitter. And of course, I want to draw your attention to my partner in crime, Heisennerd, my fellow GB3 partner. Or on his channel, he does live streams and Let's Plays. He started playing through a game called Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. On Monday, over on Bill's channel, we got together to play through the SNES game, Joe and Mac, the Caveman Ninjas. Also, Bill and I are probably going to hit Shadowgate again next time we play, because dang it, I want to beat that game. Well, guys, that's going to be all for Get on the Mic this week. As always, I want to thank you all for your support. It really means a lot to me that those of you that do come to listen to this every week do. And yeah, it's all I really got. It's been a long week. I'm going to be heading to Springfield here in a little bit. I'm joining Brad for Alpha, I believe, over on his channel. But I will be seeing Alpha and I'll be seeing Mile 22. At least that kind of gives me Friday enough time to, you know, finish up Luke Cage and hopefully get that up this weekend. And then plus he's got his live stream this weekend. So yeah, this week ain't over. So anyway, that's going to be all for Get on the Mic. As always, thank you so much for listening. If you like what you've heard here, please subscribe to the Reel Geno YouTube channel. Like this video, and if you have a comment, make sure to comment in the comment section below. Until next time, I am your host, the Reel Geno, Geno Reynolds. Peace.